We humans use soil, air, water, plants and animals for our needs. We cannot live without air, water and food. Hence, these are our basic needs. Plants are useful to us as we use them for food, clothes and shelter. We till land to grow food. We domesticate animals to use as food. They help us in farms, and each and every part of animal is used for various purposes. Soil, air, water, plants and animals are called natural resources as we get them from nature. All natural resources can be divided into two groups. Natural resources non-renewable: air, soil, minerals, water. Renewable: plants, animals. Think it over. We cannot produce certain natural resources and cannot predict their production in nature. So, it is necessary for us to use these natural resources carefully. We must prevent their wastage and recycle them. We must use our wisdom to know the difference between need and luxury and use them sparingly, that is, keeping their use to a minimum. We must always remember that nature provides for all our needs but not for our greed. Non-renewable resources. The resources that we can never produce by any means are called non-renewable resources. We cannot produce air, soil, water, or minerals. It is beyond the capability of human beings to do so. Air, a natural resource. We cannot live without air even for a short while. In any laboratory, we cannot produce air which is a balanced mixture of oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and some other gases. Ever-increasing number of factories and vehicles are responsible for air pollution and increase the proportion of carbon dioxide in the air, which causes more heat to be retained in the atmosphere. That is why we are facing the crisis called global warming. A remedy for all these ills is to make greater use of public transport and reduce the use of private vehicles. We must use fuels like CNG rather than petrol and diesel, which cause air pollution. This will bring air pollution under control. CNG, that is, compressed natural gas supplied in cylinders, has been introduced in metropolitan cities like Delhi and Mumbai as fuel for public transport vehicles. This has brought air pollution under control and has also reduced the proportion of carbon dioxide mixing in the air. Water, a natural resource. Every year, we see plenty of rain falling on the earth. Still, we call water as non-renewable resource. Why? Earth gets the water from rain which has vaporized from the earth itself. Thus, no new water is formed. The water from the melted ice goes into the seas and vaporizes. Now, the warming of Earth is melting more and more ice, and lots of difficulties are faced by us. For instance, rising of levels in seas and oceans all over the world. For learning and using this knowledge, we must remember that water is non-renewable resource. The useful water is limited, and the available resources are getting polluted. To ensure that this life-giving resource continues to be available for us, we must prevent as much rainwater from flowing away as possible and allow it to percolate into the earth wherever possible. We must use it carefully and sparingly. We must prevent it from getting polluted. Think and use your intelligence to make available more and more clean water for us. Jordan, Israel's only river, flows towards the south into the Dead Sea. A network of canals drawn from this river has been created to supply water to the western parts. This irrigation system provides enough water to nearly half of Israel's desert region for the purpose of agriculture. Besides, due to the system of sprinkle irrigation, Israel's farms and orchards have become famous worldwide. Now, students, let us turn towards another important non-renewable resource, that is, soil. The life cycle of all living things begins and ends in soil. Food grains that host living things live on and are grown in the soil. Soil contains not only the nutritious elements but also the useful bacteria necessary for growing crops. But what do we see around us? That mountains have become bare. Their soil cover has disappeared. Remember the reasons for the pollution of soil. Firstly, due to overuse of chemical fertilizers for growing crops. Secondly, due to release of polluted water, chemicals and slag from factories into the soil. Third, due to overuse of insecticides sprayed on the soil, and finally, by overuse of water. It takes thousands of years for a layer of soil to form, but rain or winds can carry away or erode this layer in a few hours. We must prevent the erosion of soil caused by cutting down of forests or by floods. We must also prevent pollution of soil and protect this important resource. The following measures can be taken for this purpose. Let us protect soil by 1. Planting trees. 2. Using organic fertilizers. 3. Using organic insecticides. 4. Preventing the cutting down of trees. Soil becomes saline due to excessive watering. With methods like sprinkle and drip irrigation, it is possible to water the soil only as much as needed. Thus, we not only save water, but also prevent soil from becoming saline. If lateral trenches are dug at regular intervals across sloping ground, the flowing rainwater collects in these trenches and seeps into the soil. At the same time, the soil flowing with water is also collected in the trenches. This is called nalla bunding. Various crops can be grown using this technique. Let us understand how natural manure can be prepared with the use of wet garbage. Wet garbage and biodegradable waste can be converted into excellent manure by adding a culture of certain bacteria or using earthworms. All kinds of food crops such as fruits, vegetables, leafy vegetables and tubers of excellent quality having good taste and resistance to disease are grown with the help of this manure. This not only reduces the strain on soil, but helps to profitably dispose of wet garbage and reduce the strain on the environment to some extent. Some crops are grown using sand, brickbats or sawdust. This is called soil-less agriculture. We also know that mushrooms can be grown on rice husks. Let us now study the non-renewable resource, minerals. Minerals form a very important part of our natural wealth. However, Minerals can never be produced by any method. Minerals are used up in large quantities for factories. Their deposits are also dwindling. The uncontrolled use of mineral fuels like diesel or petrol is causing reduction of their deposits on Earth. Besides, it also causes the trapping of heat in Earth's atmosphere by the carbon dioxide gas given out when these fuels burn. As a result, global temperatures are slowly rising. Hence, it has become imperative to use mineral oil sparingly and thus to reduce air pollution by increasing the use of alternative sources of energy, such as solar energy, wind energy, energy from tidal waves, biogas, etc. To make people aware of the importance of alternative sources of energy, the Ministry of Renewable Energy of the Government of India observes 20th August as Akshaya Urja Din. To save other fuels, we have to take steps like reducing their use, reusing them, using them without any wastage, and avoiding their use whenever possible. Renewable resources. Those resources which can be produced again and again are called renewable resources. Plants and animals can be produced again and again. We can grow plants by sowing them again. That is, plants are a renewable resource. Plants also grow on their own. As a result, forests keep growing. In that case, what is the reason for the concern about plant resources? Today, man is cutting down forests from thousands of hectares of land every day to build houses, factories, and other buildings. Forests are also cut down to clear land for agriculture. The diversity in plant life is decreasing. There is a tendency to grow only those crops which have a greater demand in the market, such as rubber, medicinal plants, or plants from which cosmetics are made. This has an adverse effect on the environment. Hence, it has become necessary to consciously grow new forests. If trees are planted, forests grow again. Of course, it takes a long time. We must also remember that we cannot create a forest exactly like a natural forest. A forest is not only vegetation but also an environment for a large number of animals. The animals living there are an integral part of the forest. Animal species survive due to reproduction. However, many animal species have become extinct or are now in danger of becoming extinct. This is due to use of certain human activities, like breeding only the useful species, encroaching upon natural habitats, killing animals, and poaching for the money that some animal parts bring. We now learn about the new use of science, that is, biotechnology. It is now possible to grow any plant we want in a test tube in a laboratory. Not only that, it is also possible to transfer specific genes from one plant into another and to develop new varieties with certain desired characteristics. Now, like plants, animals too can be produced in a laboratory. This is called biotechnology. Of course, there are limits to these experiments. Biotechnology must be used only with great care and prudence. Besides, each one of us must always remember that some animals, like the dodo or the Indian cheetah, and some plants have disappeared from nature's chain and that we have forever lost their genes. There is no laboratory that can produce them again.